Hey guys, so we're back with another park showcase in Jurassic World Evolution. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at Jurassic Park Europe, which was my attempt to make the elusive Europe park that never happened on the Azores Islands. So yeah, the park of course is set in Sanctuary, since that technically is well, at least the community thinks, and myself included, that it's in the Azores Islands. So yeah, here we are. So I had way too much fun working on this starting area. Like way too much fun working on it, as you can see. Like, we have the helipad, of course, right in front of the visitor center with a little courtyard area. And then behind it we have this nice little lagoon area with the helipad and a little fenced area right behind it. There isn't any real functional reason for having that fenced part. I just thought it would look nice there. And of course it even looks nicer with the little cafe in the back, having a view of like this little swamp area. So going out this way, we're going to go towards the first area I kind of really worked on in terms of attractions. So of course we have a bit of areas of functionality with a restroom. We got the bunker there. Some bits of infrastructure here with signs pointing to the visitor center. And then we have our hatchery over here with all like the functional buildings in this area. So kind of like I did with the Jurassic World Lagoon. I have the power lines, but they're not really attached to any power source. I just thought they look better because they you know, make it look like they're functional. On top of adding the park worker buildings over here, I have all these back paths that lead to all the enclosures. So going back towards the more active path, we have our first exhibit, which is the, I think it was the Notosaurus, and the I think it was the Pentaceratops. What I wanted to try to do with this park was I wanted to make one that kind of I guess is more of an actual zoo, but also includes the safari rides, you know, like the ones from the movies. But I wanted more of a focus on a sort of zoo exhibit, kind of like Operation Genesis, and obviously real zoos. So over here is probably going to be a bit of a, I guess, a controversial enclosure. So over here I have a Carnivore Enclosure, and you'll see that I have Spinoraptors here. So I don't really use mods, but because of that, I'm just sort of pretending that these are concavenators because they have the little hump on their back. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for that, but I mean, some people use it for as baby Spinosaurus, so yeah, I guess it's not too far out of the realm of possibility. And then of course you have a little cafe over here. Going back out this way, we have of course the restroom from earlier that I somehow didn't even address, but yeah. And then we have another carnivore enclosure, this one having the Ceratosaurus. While not really part of the original plan I had for this park, I wanted to have mostly European dinosaurs. So there's going to be a large majority of them being based from Europe, but yeah. Also, I do apologize for some of the stuttering. Speech is not exactly my strong suit. So going out this way, we have this little courtyard area. Well, I guess sort of like a little hub with a shelter, gift shop, and cafe. And then making our way back onto the path, we have the first enclosure I made, which was the Muttaburrasaurus. I was very sort of tempted to use either the Hadrosaurus sign or the Iguanadon sign because yeah, I feel like the Iguanodon one would have looked more like the actual Muttaburras, but I decided against it for some weird reason that I actually don't have any explanation for. Also, kind of like my cliffside park for my first video, I have some of the functioning areas a bit more detailed up than actually necessary for immersion. So I have these little lights here, kind of like how there's the light posts inside the hatchery, and a little fence part to be kind of like the gates seen in the beginning of Jurassic Park, the security gate. I feel like this is probably one of the larger enclosures because I kind of got carried away with making it look like, I guess, Paleo Australia, if that makes any sense, or an environment that kind of looks like it's native to the Muttaburrasaurus. So it's kind of like a coastal beach-y looking area with, I think there's like 6 Muttaburras in here. I don't know why I always call them mud butts, but yeah, here they are. Oh, and there is something over here that I forgot to address. Back here, because this park's layout is very sporadic, I kind of just made it as I went along without really any plan in mind. This is one of the maintenance paths I made for the rangers. So in this back area, they could easily access the, I think it's the Carnotaurus Enclosure, the far end enclosures at the other back part of the park, and then over here it leads towards the entrances to the Ceratosaurus and the Concavinator enclosures, and also to the second park tour, which we'll be getting to later. So trying to get back on track from there, we'll start moving out this way. And we'll work our way, I guess, to sort of counterclockwise format. So after the Muttaburrasaurus enclosure, we have our resort. Well, one of, I think I have like 3 or 4 on this island. I also made this cute little viewing area with a patio, or I guess yet another courtyard, and a smaller restroom out here. In my mind, I like to imagine that it's actually a changing area for beach access down there, but of course, it's just completely within the realm of imagination, since you can't really have that in the game. And then of course back here we have another shelter, because safety is the first priority in this park. And also a substation. And of course we have over here another cafe. I just kind of wish that there was a actual form of transportation in the parks that you could use in this era. The era of 1993. So going out this way, we have the access for our first safari ride. And then I've gotten, of course, very carried away with the foliage here. But this is only a 2 enclosure tour, because originally, like I said, I didn't want to have this to be heavily involved with safaris, so. But it includes the Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, and the Diplodocus. Also kind of following in the theme of my cliffside park, the Stegosaurus here have male and female variants. This particular track tends to be very problematic, as you can see right there with that truck not trying to get away. The Diplodocus love to destroy the trucks, so yeah. There we go again. But over here we have the primary watering hole for this enclosure. When I was working on this on stream, one of the viewers actually recommended trying to have Brachiosaurus kind of like the ones from Walking with Dinosaurs. So alongside the Stegosaurus, we have these 2 Brachiosaurus over here. One being a sort of pale green, the other one being a darker green, kind of like how they look in the show. Also, I apologize for the chunky frame rates, because yeah, from what I've heard and I've said before in other videos, the redwood trees supposedly eat the frame rates pretty badly. So this next enclosure has Carnotaurus and Styracosaurus. Originally it had just Triasaurus in it, because they're kind of one of my favorites in this game because of how cute they are. Though I would still say the Parasaurolophus is still my favorite. again, this is trying to strive for making it look like the Dinosaur Park mural landscape painting. Then over there you can see the viewing area I created with the sign next to the exhibit. I'm actually surprised this ride hasn't broken down yet with how many dinosaurs are just sort of fumbling with the vehicles. In retrospect, I should have probably set the vehicles to invincible. But you know what they say, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, so I decided to leave it on for more realism. And I guess a little bit of chaos. So like I said before, this other enclosure on this side is the Carnotaurus. I have a couple of them in here. I think I have like 3 or 4 in here. After watching Camp Cretaceous, I kind of became a bit obsessed with the Carnotaurus, so that's why we have so many of them. I didn't have any real vision in mind for this, aside from, I guess, a not exactly butterfly effect, but a Mandela effect, where I remembered there being a documentary showing the Carnotaurus in a redwood environment, but I don't remember for the life of me where I saw that. So that's why they're in this sort of Site B looking area. But in a way, I guess it kind of works, since there supposedly was Carnotaurus on Site B in the books. So yeah. And then over here in this next enclosure, we have the infamous Allosaurus, the very inaccurate Allosaurus with its shrink wrapped head. So inside the enclosure, I tried to make it look like I think the partially burnt down forest that was seen in one of the episodes of Walking with Dinosaurs, also requested by some of the viewers. And there's redwoods causing up frame rate drops again. But again, like I said, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, and I love my beautiful enclosures. So yeah, I think we have 2 or 3 Allosaurus in here instead of the usual 1 or 2. In the future, I'm going to try to use redwoods a bit more sparingly. So over here, I think we have one of my probably favorite viewing areas, which I tried to make look like a sort of Operation Genesis style path area with 2 guest I guess accommodating buildings, I guess would be the best term for it. But yeah, we have the cafe on one side, a tree in the middle, because I couldn't randomly generate a tree to be there like I probably would have attempted to in Operation Genesis, and a restroom. And on this side we have the Packy exhibit, which has a mix of the Styrac, no, not Styrac, what am I saying? The Stygimoloch and the Pachycephalosaurus. Originally it was just the Pachycephalosaurus, but I changed it in post because I realized that I didn't want to have too many enclosures with just Pachycephalosaurids in it. So this area here I kind of had a lot of trouble with because I was trying to figure out how to work in this little cliffed area that was part of just the vanilla version of the map. And I didn't really want it to be in an enclosure, so my workaround for it was making it into a scenic hotel, a hollow scenic hotel. And then from any of the rooms up here you could see into the Packy enclosure, and if you have binoculars you could probably see into the Allosaurus one. Coming back down, I try to make it look very craggy. To make it look like it's on a sort of mountainous area. And of course I have some more infrastructure over here with a sign showing which way to get to the visitor center. Technically, since the whole path of this park loops, you could technically use either way, but I think going the left way probably would have been faster. But one would have also been faster, a monorail, but we don't have that. Over here we have another shelter and a another little rest area because it's a bit of a hike before the next hotel. And of course I have these 3 signs here showing what dinosaurs are in this enclosure, but we'll come back to that later. I'm going to zoom out a bit so you guys could get a better look at this area. Okay, so working our way back along the path, this sort of claustrophobic area would lead to the next exhibit. That's also part of the second tour. So keeping in the theme of Europe, I have the Iguanodons over here. We'll be taking a better look into their enclosure later. Over here I have a more dedicated viewing area for the Iguanodons. Also, I almost forgot to mention this, that I set up these little light post areas all along the path just to illuminate it at night. because doing a fly through of the park when it was done, I realized that that area was extremely dark. So yeah. This is the other viewing area. I kind of wish there were benches in the game that guests could actually use, but yeah, we don't have that either. So down here you can also see the tour as it moves along. So over here we have our next hotel, which is the, I think I called it the I think it was the Triassic Bungalows or something, or the Triassic Suite, one of those, but it's over here and it has a nice little view of a little pond, and also a clearing that goes towards where the monorail would be. So like before, we're going to do a little overview of it. And moving our way back down here, we'll be heading towards the next tour. So for this area over here, I had a lot of problems trying to generate trees here, so I just kind of mushed in as many prop trees as possible to make it look natural. I think it turned out pretty well. It almost looks like a section of a park or something. Not a Jurassic Park, I mean like an actual park. And then I felt like the prop restroom was a bit underutilized, so I have one over here. So going up this way, we'll be coming towards our next tour. This one I definitely had a lot of fun with. I wanted to have a tree in that little circular area, but it just didn't work out. So this section of the tour is a bit more scenic than the other one, with a considerable increase in terms of the number of enclosures. So with this one, I kind of got a bit carried away with presentation. So this first area doesn't even have dinosaurs in it. Instead, it actually has this collection of signs that show which dinosaurs will be featured in the tour. Starting with, I think it was the Sauropelta or the Polycanthus, I think it was the Polycanthus. I don't remember which one, because there's just so many of them in the game. And then there's the Carnotaurus, no, not, what am I saying? The Centaurosaurus, the Styrac, no, not Styrac, Sinoceratops, and the Mamenchisaurus, and the Olorotitan. And then there's Iguanadon. And then the Carnotaurus Carnotaurus. That, there we go. Nailed it. First try. I think it was the Polycanthus. Yeah. But here we have the first one. I think we have like 3 in here. This one I I feel like this enclosure could have been a lot better. It's pretty standard looking. Like, I want it to look more like a marshy swamp area like they're supposedly based out of, but yeah, I feel like it could have turned out a lot better. And then over here I have another sign for the next collection of dinosaurs. The Centaurosaurus, the Olorotitan, the Sinoceratops, and the Mamenchisaurus. This one I absolutely got carried away with prettying up. But I wanted it to feature, instead of European dinosaurs, just one enclosure that's almost strictly Asian, just for added levels of exotics. Beyond, of course, seeing live dinosaurs. No, we'll zoom out a bit so you guys can get a better look at it. And then you can see down there, directly below is another maintenance path. I think there's just one or two Olorotitans in here. I just have no idea where the second one is. Like, you saw the other one over there by the pond, but I have no idea where the other one is. Oh, never mind, we found him. Her. We found her. Here's a nice little herd of Sinoceratops. And then heading back this way, hopefully we could beat the gate, is the Iguanadon Enclosure. Originally I thought about having the Proceratosaurus here, or just in the park in general, but for some reason I just decided against it, because they're just too small and not eye-catching enough. We're just gonna ignore those emerging dinosaurs. Just getting a better view of the enclosure. And then moving down this way, we'll be heading towards our next exhibit, the Carnotaurus. There we go. I could speak. I know dinosaur names. I'm a trained professional. I could do this. So yeah, this next enclosure is a bit larger than necessary, but I think it kind of lends itself to how grand the Carnotaurus was in the Operation Genesis game. I wanted it to look more tropical and more like a coastal area, so yeah. I want to try to get a good view of these fellas. Up there she goes. We have two in here. Then going back out here, you can see we have another goat. doing its thing, and I think it's probably done its last thing. Yep, there it goes. So heading back along the path, we'll have this little area that I got carried away with in terms of making it look pretty with the lack of trees. And then over here we come towards the end of this part of the tour with this nice little canopy above. And then heading back out this way, we have our long path heading towards the next enclosure. I kind of wanted this to be a bit larger in terms of just areas that aren't used for anything in particular, because I feel like this park, well, any of my parks, I tried to utilize just the amount of space needed for some dinosaurs, but I don't want to get carried away with having them be just exclusively enclosures, because at that point it gets too cluttered and too I guess messy. But going back into the whole theme of European dinosaurs, we have the Carnotaurus Enclosure, which again tries to go with the whole coastal vibe. I think there's only 2 Carnotaurus in here, but I think I considered having 3. And then over here we have some more signs leading to the other attractions, one being the Aviary, the other being the Visitor Center, or Centre, as they spell it in Europe. So up here we have, for some reason, very underappreciated Baryonyx Enclosure, because yeah, there isn't viewing areas in this game, so guests just don't come out here at all. But we have a cafe here and 2 dedicated restrooms. But again, we have another sign showing what dinosaur is in the enclosure. Originally I had the Giganotosaurus in here, but I got rid of those. So I think there's maybe like 4 or 5 Baryonyx in here. And then from here we'll be working our way towards the Aviary, which I think has the maximum number of Pteranodons inside. But first we're going to take just a little look from a more scenic perspective right here, just to get that really nice scenic shot for the brochure. And after this, we have one last attraction. Well, it's another hotel, but it's one I feel the most proud of because of how well it turned out. There's that Metricanthrosaurus again. So going back to what I said about having areas that just don't have dinosaurs in them, I made this little I guess the word would be gully. I was trying to go for a dried up riverbed type of look. And then we have another little hub area. And over here you get a nice back view of the visitor center while heading towards the hotel. For some reason I wanted this area to look very, I guess, secluded, but also just very picturesque with a more traditional resort look and feel. We'll zoom out a bit more so you can get a better view. If I was to rate the hotels in this particular park, I would say this is probably going to be the most expensive one with the most stars because of how well landscaped. Yeah, bit of a Freudian slip there, but how well landscaped, not manscaped, this area is. I also somehow managed to make this really small pond. If I was to have this my way, I probably would have had a fountain there, but we don't have that either. And through the brushes you could still see the visitor center, so you'll always know that's not too far away. And keep in mind, outside of the game, the actual visitor center has a restaurant inside of it. So aside from that cafe, there's also the one just within walking distance. Here we have another shelter and another viewing area for the Metricanthrosaurus. Let's take a bit back so we can get a better view of it. So moving on from here, coming towards the end of the showcase, but before we do that, I'm going to switch over to the night view version. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have any proper editing software for this, so we're just going to switch into the in-game view so you guys could actually see it at night the way it's supposed to look, with, of course, the Jurassic Park light filter. Now that's a lot better. Personally, I would say the light filters for the nighttime effects in 1993 look way better than the Jurassic World ones because of how warm they are. This is one thing I forgot to point out earlier, but I don't have the Ranger outpost completely maxed out with its upgrades because I think the building looks better without the solar panels that appear on the inner section over here. It just looks a lot nicer this way. I'm gonna zoom out a bit so you can see a larger view of the park. As much as I like a lot of the other islands, I would say just with the overall scale of this island, it just offers so much more. So continuing on with this flyby, you'll see why I illuminated the gates. They just kind of look better at night with the little lampposts. And this, of course, being my favorite thing to do with the signs and the lampposts. Just kind of makes it look more presentable at night instead of flashing a flashlight that John Hammond didn't tell you to bring with you. The only problem, of course, is seeing into the enclosure. We're going to use this other path since we haven't actually used this one yet. I kind of wish the that more industrial looking lamppost was also available as an option, as a spotlight. Oh, before we go out that way, this is why I put lampposts over here, because I wanted it to look safer for safari vehicles and well, the Rangers more in particular to drive along this way without crashing. Over here we're back at the hub area. Occasionally the Brachiosaurus would peek out from over here and look over the fence and try reaching for these trees, which is pretty fun to watch sometimes. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened in this recording, so this is probably the only sign that doesn't have a light by it, because I forgot to leave some room for it, so. I love how warm the lighting is in 93. Let's get right in close enough that we can get a nice view of the signs. There we go. I'm actually surprised the ride hasn't been halted because of the dinosaurs yet. I think while building this park, this area has probably been shut off and stalled because of damaged vehicles at least 5 times. Over here you kind of get the idea, so we're gonna move on to the next area. I like to imagine that aside from the picture of the dinosaur, there's probably a little plaque saying some information about the dinosaurs, or maybe even a hidden speaker somewhere explaining them. I'm gonna fly over this way so you guys can get a better view of the viewing area I made, because I feel like this is more of a highlight for this part of the park because how well it turned out. I think I've said this a few times already, but I'm more of an artist than a speaker, so I'll just let the art speak for me. time of this recording, I could say this is probably one of the longest videos I've done for a park showcase. Just because of how much there is to share. I made the decision to have a light post back there because no one's going to want to be behind the shelter without any light source trying to fix things. It's just going to be very convenient for park workers, so I would have put some light posts in here because it looks kind of bad without them, but yeah, there just isn't any because somehow I couldn't get one placed in there without it saying that it's obstructed. This sign also doesn't have a light post. But yeah, here's that section I mentioned earlier that it just looks better with the light posts because one would get really anxious walking from one end of the park to the other, especially at night. So, picking up the pace, we're gonna go over here and take a look at the other hotel. Which again, it just looks better at night, especially with the 1993 lighting effects. One thing I will always say is that the Sky Dome doesn't exactly look the best in this game. I feel like it's way too bright. I think I said that on stream a few times actually. But I digress. And now the one area I really want to show is this introduction display area, because of how well it turned out at night. Let's take a look at this. And I would like to imagine that with each one of these that you pass, the, I guess, interior narration would probably have something to say about the dinosaurs that they'll be seeing on this tour. So moving out this way, before we wrap it up, I'm just going to show this other maintenance path I included. And also a view of the back area at night, and also the hotels. Well, this last hotel. And one last area that we'll check, I promise this will be the last one, would be the view of the Baryonyx Enclosure and the Aviary. I think the only problem here is that the Pteranodon sign is too overexposed, so you can't exactly see the actual graphic of the Pteranodon, or at least not that well. One thing I wish was a thing was the image of the island behind the dinosaur, I wish that it was different for each island that you're on. Maybe it would be something that could be in Jurassic World 2 when that inevitably comes out. I would say this area over here though is probably way too dark. I probably could have made it brighter. Coming to the end of this park showcase, we're just gonna get one last look at the visitor center at night as the helicopter departs, much like this video is coming to a close. So there we go, just a nice little scenic view before we wrap this up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this park showcase, and those of you that did, remember to like it and subscribe for more Jurassic World Evolution content, and also follow me on Twitch and Twitter at RadicalEdward2, where I'll be doing, well, I still do a lot of Jurassic World related content, streams, commentaries, little bits of riffs on I guess other topics. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.